Hey, what's up guys? Ilji, also known as Iljame here. Challenger Z since Season 9, blah blah blah, and welcome to my Zed vs Yone guide. In this video, I'm going to go over the laning phase as well as after the laning phase, just everything that you want to do as Zed against Yone to have success. Before the laning phase starts, I'll talk a bit about the runes. I like to go first strike with precision secondary, just to show them on the screen. But you can also go domination secondary with sudden impact and ult hunter, which is what I would take. Or sorcery with Scorch and Transcendence, which is what I'll take. Or you could go Resolve with either Second Wind or Bone Plating and Overgrowth. All of those options do fine. You can also go Electrocute if you'd like. I would go Electrocute, Sudden, Eyeball, Ult Hunter, Scorch and Transcendence. You could go Taste of Blood instead of Sudden. I just think Sudden is probably better into Yone. And that's pretty much it for the runes. If you're not sure what to go, just go First Strike with Transcendence and Scorch. So I'll talk over the first 5 or 6 minutes of the lane. I've already played this game, so I can focus on talking, which is great. Against Yone, you kind of just want to play safe. You don't want to shove the wave. You don't want to hit the wave because you don't win early level trades. So if you push, you don't really have control, so he can zone you off instead. So it's best to just chill, farm with Q. As I missed a CS. Unlucky. But yeah, the main thing is don't push and just relax. You know, just wait for first recall. And as you work towards your eclipse and you actually get eclipse, that's when you start winning. As he hits me with Q. But his Q went through my backline minions, so I'm actually quite happy with that. Because it means he likely won't be able to stack three waves. Since he's pushing quite quickly. And that's what we want. We just want to eat up the minions. So yeah, it's very, very boring, but there's not really any other option for the early laning phase, as I do like the most get ahead to W to farm and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of just, this is the most ideal way to play against Yone, which is not good in terms of the state of the game. Or the state of this matchup, I guess, is kind of a bit silly. Because in the early game, you kind of don't win the trades. I could choose to W EQ him. As I just W in. But I was mainly going for the CS. So I could choose to W EQ him to poke. But I would do like 200 damage. And like if I hit my Qs. Usually I don't hit my Qs because I suck. But if I hit the Qs, I'll do like 200 damage. And then I lose all control over the lane, right? So it's not worth using my spells to poke Yone until I get first recall. At least. Just farming away. So yeah, the first few levels is just very boring. But then after first recall, after you get like pickaxe, double longsword, or eclipse especially, because when you finish eclipse, you usually have an item advantage, right? Because Yone wants to finish Zerka Greaves first item every game. So you're going to have Eclipse before he finishes his first item, which puts you in a good advantage, very good advantage, if you can get there without dying. That's basically the goal. As we just farm, my wave is kind of pushing towards him, but then he Qs, and I see his 4 minions, so it's pushing towards me. Just chilling. But yeah, he can usually just perma shove, and that's kind of usually what they do, the Yones and the Yasuos. They usually shove every wave, but I mean it's pretty troll. My jungler walks there and dies, unfortunate. But you know, I don't panic, I don't shove my wave, I don't move my wave, you know. Just have to keep control while I can. But yeah, this is more or less the early laning phase. Right here I tried to look for Diana because I saw she was low actually as she passed by. And then I see the health thing, so she took it. And then I just Q him, get some first strike and go back. Now it's looking fine. Rakan's coming in, so I think I try to just go in, fight him. As you can see, if I ever did that without Rakan, I would like instantly die, right? I mean, I almost died anyways, but yeah, but like, you can't really trade before first recall. I would say. Even if you have Electrocute, it's not ideal. Gosh, I have a cough. Forgive me. Right here, I'm picking to dive him. Actually, this ends up quite well because he has to recall. So I just shove it. And then I walk up because I want to make sure he doesn't recall too close because I can stop him while I have ult. I know he has TP, but I want to force him a bit back. No, a bit further back. Since Diana's dead. Or like I saw Diana was dead, so I walk up a bit and Yone has TP. So then he can TP, but if I force him back a bit, he's going to miss a lot more minions, which he does. And that's basically level 1 to 6. Right here, I'll just show you an all-in that you can use against Yone. The W forward is whatever, that's not the part I want to show you. It's when I go in here and I ult him. He ults me, and right before his ult goes through, I throw my Qs out. So if you saw that, he locked himself into place, and I buffered the Qs, so both of my Qs hit, because my Shadow and me were in range to hit him with Q. And that's a good way to always hit your Qs, or at least 2 Qs on Yone. You can abuse his ult against himself, kind of. Because usually when you ult Yone, they like to ult you. And the way you can counter that is you just ult him, and then you throw the Qs. As soon as you see his ult on you, throw the Qs behind you if you think, or if you know that your Shadow is in range as well. Then both Qs will hit him, and you likely win the fight. And yeah. That's a good way to secure the Q, secure the Qs, is you just like let him ult you, you know, after you hit ult, and abuse the fact that Yone has spells which keeps him in locked positions. That's sort of what this matchup is about in a nutshell. Just abusing the fact that Yone Q3 and ult mainly, and I guess E2 as well. Those spells keep him in a position, which keeps him locked in place, and you can abuse that. That's more or less like the whole matchup in a nutshell, but I'm going to show you some more tricks and stuff I like to use against Yone throughout the rest of this game, and also I'll go into practice tool later. However, do make sure you don't ult Yone who has his Q3, because then he can Q3 through your ult where you appear, and then he can like ult away. Or he can just Q3 and then run with his extra movement speed from his boots. And usually he covers enough distance to like make you waste your ult basically. So make sure you don't ult Yone if he has Q3. But you can abuse his ult against him if he doesn't have Q3 and you ult him. That's usually what he's going to do. So yeah. Ignore my ult in this clip. I just want to show you my bread and butter combo against Yone. I like to use to trade. So once he has his Q3, you walk into his EQ range, or EQ3 range, and then once he E's, he does the Q3, you can see the little animation his Q3 has from Yone. He like steps back a tiny bit, and then he goes in with the Q3. Once you see that little step back, you can put your W behind you, so where the Q3 wouldn't hit you, and then just do QW, so both Qs will go towards where the Yone is going to land on Q3, and that's usually a really good trade. I mean, in this clip, obviously I trolled because I ulted after. You usually want to hold your ult after that trade and stay outside of his Q range, but inside your ult range in case he ults you, because his ult's going to be higher range. You don't want to run outside of his ult range, but just, you know, play in between, you know, outside his Q range, but within your ult range after taking that little W backwards trade. That's basically how you want to play that kind of trade out after level 6. Don't do that trade if you don't have ult, because then he can run you down with his ult and you might die. And you can also choose to like ult him after his E2 goes back, right? Like in that trade scenario. I guess I just rewind it back. Just rewind it back, whatever. So in this scenario here, I ult him too quickly obviously, but if I don't ult him, I take that trade, right? This is fine, this auto attack, but then after this auto attack, I should like run a bit further back. Or maybe this auto attack is bad actually, so let's see. We do that. Yeah, the auto attack's bad because it's greedy. We took a really good trade. I'm just limit testing, that's why I don't know what I'm doing. But after that trade, I would want to run back and just wait like outside his Q range, and then try to time my ult on his like snapback, because there's a short timer if you can react. And that would like, I think that's the way to do it. Obviously I trolled, just limit testy, but Yeah, I shouldn't ult early as well. You should ult when you see his snapback. Me ulting early is just insecure. But yeah, usually you just want to play around that range after taking that, you know, successful trade, which is always going to be successful with the nature of the trade, right? He's using his E and his Q3, so he won't be able to catch you without ulting or flashing. So that's already a success. And yeah, I mean, that's the main bread and butter trade that you want to use, like in laning phase, after level 6 or after first recall and after eclipse, definitely. And yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with it unless you don't have ult or you run too far away afterwards. So you run outside of your ult range and then he can ult you and perhaps kill you. And yeah, I mean, that makes it like harder to deal with, kind of. But in general, it's usually a win-win situation. Here's a mid to late game fight against Yone. In this fight, I buffer my Qs, as I'll show you. I use my W straight away just to try and bait him a bit onto me before he stacks his Q, which he does. So I ult him, Auto E Profane, then I see his ult, so I let his ult hit me, but I make sure I use my Qs behind me to hit the Qs as he locks himself into place when his ult hits me. So it's quite simple against Yone because a lot of his spells lock him into place. Even his like E, his E1 even, E2 definitely, Q3, his ult as well. You know, they lock him into a specific place, which allows you to hit your Qs, and you can set things up for that. So right here, when I ult him, I auto E Profane straight away, just in case he doesn't use his ult straight away, since he had another option, which is using E. Right? Usually the good Yones would E after you ult them. So if he did E in this situation though, my W would come back in time, because I get my E onto him, auto E, and I would WQW auto right after that. So if you imagine the combo right here, I ult, auto E, right here, all that damage, right? All of that damage. Let's say he used E instead. My W will be coming up in 0.2 seconds, as you can see. And then I will WQW auto onto the Yone. I wouldn't wait for his E2. That's another thing. Usually you don't want to wait for the Yone's E2 if he uses E after you ult them. Just WQW auto, make it quick, make it snappy. And if you want to do that, it's also good to use it auto E Profane like I do here to poke him a bit lower. Make sure I can get the passive auto attack in the event that he does use E instead of ult. And that would pretty much kill him. So it's kind of a win-win situation against Yone in the mid to late game, provided you are even or ahead. If you're behind, it's more tough, but you can do it. Especially if you have teammates to just help you line up the spells even better. You can kill him and, you know, get back into the game. But usually, you know, if you're even, this definitely works. You know, lining up your spells, all that good stuff. The main thing is he doesn't have his Q3. So that's why I ult him. If he did have Q3, then it would be terrible to ult him because that's a way to lose the fight against Yone 1v1. So that's the main takeaway, is do not ult a Yone while he has Q3. That is, I would say, number one thing to take from this video in general. So I think a lot of Zeds probably do that, and it's not really the way. But yeah, in general, this matchup's about, you know, just throwing your spells where Yone's abilities take him. But yeah, let's get into practice tool and talk about a few more things that I didn't properly cover, perhaps. What's up, guys? Here I'm in practice tool. I'm a bit too lazy to get a Yone to do it, so we're just going to pretend this is a little Yone, this dummy. Yeah, he Qs the minion. We're both like one item. I have Eclipse, he has Zerka Greaves and a couple of components. He Qs it, he has stacked Q now. Let's say he has stacked Q. I want to stand around here. If he was like here, or like just outside of his Q3 range, so he has to use E to catch me, and then he would E there, and then right here he would use his Q3. As soon as I see that little animation of his like step back, like a tiny step back before he does his Q3, then I would use my W right there and do it like that. As he jumps in, he will jump into the Qs, and that's a good little combo there. That's like your bread and butter after your level 6, level 7, after first recall, maybe second recall and Eclipse, you know. Because obviously before first recall, we kind of saw that, yeah, we're just chilling. We can't really win trades, but that W backwards is the bread and butter, basically. So there you go. Also, it could be good to like line the W up with the direction of his Q3 actually. So if he did that, let's say he was there, he dashed over there with his E while he had a stacked Q, and then now he's going to Q me from there. The direction is this way, so it usually is kind of good to just place my W like right here. You don't want to place it too far. That's another thing, you don't want to place it too far because you want both Qs to hit. But I would place it in the direction, just like that, to ensure, you know, the success rate of both Qs hitting, right? Do it in the direction. So he jumps from there, he has Q3, he uses it like that. As soon as I see the little animation thing, we do that. And then we E, and we run. We don't auto attack, it's just spells. There you go, that's the combo shown again. Yeah, this is a long guide, I know. Well, there you go guys, enjoy the guide. I hope you're enjoying the guide. We're not done yet, so yeah, stay tuned. I didn't get to properly demonstrate this, like, in the game against Yone. I hope the dummies are useful for your imagination, by the way. But yeah, if I ult the Yone, I auto E Profane, right? And then if he uses E, let's say he uses E that direction, right? So I guess I want to get rid of this auto refresh. We ult him, we auto E Profane, and then if he is there, I do WQ like that. WQW, get the Qs out quickly, and then auto again, and then E again. So if I show you again what it would look like if he dashed there, I guess that's kind of a weird place to dash. Let's say instead, how do I remove the dummies? So let's say he dashes, oh, what? He dashes over there, okay? So we ult him, auto E Profane, he dashes, and I do that straight away, and then he's dead probably, so I take my ult back. But usually you want to take your ult back regardless, because you win the trade, and it becomes more dangerous if he uses E and, you know, you miss your Qs. Let's say in this situation, right? We ult him, he uses E, wait, no, I did it wrong. So we ult him, but then we want to use auto E Profane straight away, right? And then watch what he does. If he E's, WQW, auto, and then just ult straight away. So usually it's better not to linger against the Yone and take a full trade. So in a situation where your WQ, you know, your Qs miss, it's kind of just like fine, right? Because you do this, you WQ that, and then you ult and you straight away, like, run away, right? So even if your Qs miss, you'll have your ult shadow to run away. And if he E's towards your ult shadow, then it's more likely your Qs will hit, right? So he doesn't have the incentive to do that. So you just do that, auto E Profane, wait for either his ult or E. If he ult, you Q like that. If he E's, then I just showed you that, I'll show you again. If he E's, that's his E there. Auto E Profane, he E's, quickly WQW, get the Qs out as, you know, faster with your WQW, because your W2 with your Q cancels the animation. I can also show you that real quick. So if we look right here, I'll show you, it's a bit slower, right? So WQ, that's your WQ without cancelling it. And then WQW is like that, right? They come out a bit faster. I don't know if you guys can see, but WQ is like that, right? And then WQW. Oh wait, I E'd as well. Okay, wait. It's okay. So WQ is like that, right? And then WQW is like that, and the Qs, the animation's faster, right? I mean slower because it gets cancelled. But yeah, so you auto E Profane, he dashes, WQW, auto, and then, you know, take your ult shadow and then E, or, you know, E and then stay on him. It all depends on whether your spells hit, whether they miss, and all of those sort of things. But yeah, that's basically how you play it against Yone in the mid to late game, these kind of fights. You know, ult, auto E Profane, he can't really do much as long as he doesn't have Q3. If he has Q3, you're trolling, don't ult him. But yeah, I did repeat myself a bunch in this sort of guide, I guess, but I think you guys will get the point better if I repeat, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm being silly, but yeah, that's basically how you want to fight. Another thing is, let's say this isn't his E position. Let's say this dummy has a Q3 and he E's there to Q me, right? We do that good old W backwards combo. and then we need to reevaluate. So we want to sort of hang outside of his Q range, like right outside of it. He's going to have an extra bit of movement speed, so you need to be careful and just go side to side with your sidestepping. So let's say there's another dummy here now. Right, so that's his original position. He jumps with his E, and then his Q3 lands him here, but we already used our W backwards, and he ate a bunch of Qs. We want to stay a bit back, and then just watch him, and if we have the reaction time, when he snaps back, like his bottom bar goes to like 0, and you might be able to ult him. And what would happen is I would ult him, but I would go to this one, right? Because that's his original position. And then I would E, or, you know, usually you want your Q up. So in that situation right here, we do this, right? And then we're just sort of lingering. There's a Yone here with his E2. He missed his spells. He's mad. All of that good stuff. Let's say we ult it and we follow. Obviously, I can't follow the dummy, but we want to be ulting him in a position where our Qs are back up again. So, I'll show you again. This is such a long video. But anyways, so he has Q3, he is Q3, but obviously when he's here, we already do this, and then we have a few seconds on our Q, so we're just waiting, and then he's like dancing with us, getting a bit mad maybe. If he lingers, then, you know, the main point is if he lingers after that combo, you can look to ult him on his snapback, because your Q will come back up. And in that situation, let's say he has ult still, and you ult him and you followed him, now he ults you, you can just throw the Q backwards, right? You'll only hit one Q because your shadow will actually be over here, but it's still pretty good because you have a way to get out, your shadow far away, and your Q is guaranteed if he has ult. And if you have the HP to do that, you can finish him off like that after taking a successful trade with your W backwards. That's not a W backwards, but with your W backwards, right? Okay, that's not really... You guys get the point. Okay. That's basically all I wanted to talk about in Practice Tool. So yeah, there you go, guys. I hope it's useful. In conclusion, I would say that the Zed versus Yone matchup is quite easy if we take into account the entirety of the game. However, if we're only talking about laning phase, I would say it's a bit more tough, but it's still easy. Once you get Eclipse, it's like very easy. Before Eclipse, it's kind of hard, but as you get components, it gets easier. And yeah, it's just in the first few levels, as long as you're patient enough, you'll be rewarded, I would say, in most of your games. So yeah, play patiently early on, and after you get Eclipse or a couple of components towards that, that's when you can start trading, start winning. And then obviously mid to late game, I showed you, you guys can kind of win. You can pretty much use that combo like all the time. So yeah, I mean, I hope it's all useful. I hope this guide is great. I kind of just winged it, so yeah. And have a lovely day wherever you are in the world as you watch this video. Thank you for reaching the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want. I'll be posting more Zed content, only Zed. Unfortunately, I don't do other champs. But yeah, there you go, guys. Have a good one. Peace.